Hello again. This video is going to be a little different than my normal ones. This is about the EA500 and some of the like the mods I've been seeing for it. I've been seeing like recommendations of buying these like 500 mesh filters and certain specific types of foams and stuff. And past couple days I've just been doing a lot of playing around, and I've actually come to love the EA500 even more. So I just want to kind of share some of my findings. Unfortunately, I do not have any equipment to measure the frequency response and show the changes, what they actually are. I can only give my opinion of the changes I'm noticing. But the EA500, because of its removable nozzle, makes it so easy to do these mods or do these changes. You kind of gotta get everybody to just try it. They give you the red ring one that has no filter in it, so that could be the one you play with. The black one, I hope you guys can see that, does have a filter. It's kind of a grayish type mesh. It's hard to tell what the pore size is. It looks relatively small, but the difference between this and the stock red one that has nothing is pretty small. Like with this, I feel like I lose a little bit of the technicalities, some bass, and I get a thinner, yeah, I guess a more overall thinner, I guess kind of analytical sound, although I find it more natural sounding and smoother with the red one. Now what I did on mine, at least what I ended up being happy with and leaving it with, is I put a little piece of foam in the red one. Now I tried all kinds of different foams, and as long as it's not too porous and you're careful about how you put it in there and stuff, you can almost make any type of foam work. And funny enough, the one that worked the best for me, and easier to work with, was foam that came out of the what is this, the OH300 packaging. I just sliced a chunk off of there because it's actually a kind of firm foam, pretty porous, if you can see that. Nothing special. I really don't think definitely not any type of acoustic foam or anything like that, but it ended up making these things wonderful. I was kind of shocked, and it's surprising just how much you can change the sound of these, just putting a little bit of foam in these nozzles, and how much foam, where you put like the insertion depth. Oh, would have helped. I should have probably pulled that off first. All right, hold on. Let's make this easier. All right, let me get this tip off. Now this is the red one that normally has nothing in it, and hopefully you guys can see that, but I do have some of that foam down in there. But as you can see, it doesn't come up anywhere near as high. As the other one. It's actually a little bit lower. And I just cut off very tiny, I use that, cut off very tiny little pieces, put it in there. What I noticed to be the most important thing is you gotta make sure, like, you can't stuff it in there. You really have to make sure you fluff it back out so it's not tight in there, like everything is just sat in there. It's covering all the sides, but it's not tight and compressed. I noticed once it starts getting compressed, the bass becomes too soft. You lose a lot of the technicalities. But as long as I kept it, like, I think I'm about halfway down, and I kept it as loose as I possibly could. Oh, that is absolutely terrible. let's see if I can find a light, because that made such a huge difference. Let's see if oh, now I'm blowing everything out. But hopefully you guys can see that and see how far down that is. And the pores seem bigger than what's on this one. As you can see, this one is nearly at the tip. Those are the stock black rings. Now with these, like, I like the way it sounds stock with the red. I like the crispness, the cleanliness, just the snappiness of it all. Like, that's how I prefer it. But I definitely understand how some people can possibly think it sounds a little thin, maybe a little too aggressive. And just, I'm gonna pull it out so you can see just how little bit of foam I actually used. But just filling this halfway with this foam, with the foam from the OH300, it made the bass, it didn't increase it in quantity, but it made it meatier, fuller. It added more body to the vocals, and it feels like it kind of rounded off, like, what is it, the consonant region, like the 4 or 5K region or whatever, with that sibilance part. It feels like it rounded that off. So now even like the vocals sound so much more natural with this than they did, even though I still kind of prefer the experience I got before. Just, I love that snappiness, speediness it had. But this kind of just ever so slightly softens everything up, added body to the bass. Like, sub bass now has a thicker rumble as opposed to just a quick texture thumpiness from before. Now it's this like thick rumble. It was noticeable difference. Again, the vocals are nice and smooth, and then the treble, where it can be a little too snappy at times. Not for me. I actually love the way it was, right? But my son kind of looked like he didn't dislike it, but he definitely noticed the I guess the slight aggressiveness it has in the treble. And I do see other people complain about that as well, like it's a little too much up there. And this round, like, don't lose any detail. I'm not losing any sound stage, but I'm getting everything just, I don't want to say more refined, but just more palatable. Like, there's nothing offensive left anymore. It's just well balanced, and it's just a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I don't know if I can still like to keep it this way over just stock, because again, I love the speediness, and it played so well with some of my music. This way it seems to work with hip-hop much better, just because for some reason hip-hop seems to be the most prone to sibilance to me. With a lot of stuff it can get aggressive, and just this completely fixed it. Now, as I said, I'm only halfway down. I'm only filling up half this tube. I have it very loosely packed in there. Like, it's just barely holding on, to the point where if I turn it upside down, if it was any looser, it would just fall right out. Like, if you have it compressed too much, you'll definitely hear the difference. You'll start losing technicalities. I tried other foams. I've tried filling this all the way up, and again, it starts changing different frequencies. It started recessing the vocals a little bit too much. With this same amount of foam, I actually tried also keeping it flush up here and not pushing it all the way down. And what that did was actually seem to increase the 4 to 5K region. It was adding a little bit of sibilance. It made the soundstage more expansive, and it took away some of the bass, but it also added some of that sibilance. Like, it made it vocal centric, but almost a little too much. But the more I'm playing around with the foam and the positioning of it and the different types of foam, the more I'm noticing I can almost change every frequency. It's kind of impressive. So I really hope any owners of the EA500, I mean, if you really hate the black one, just rip the foam out of that. I kind of didn't want to mess with it. I figured I'd just use the one that doesn't have anything in it, experiment with that. But I mean, you have two nozzles, experiment with one, start shoving stuff in it, have some fun. Like, the way this is, and having this removable nozzle allows these to be a wonderful buy. Like, I keep getting impressed by these EA500s. Let me pull this out just so you guys can see how little foam I actually used. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll put it right next to that. It's just the tiniest little piece. And it's really all you need, especially if you're not trying to make big changes. If you just want a little bit of body in the base. And again, if what you have is kind of thicker than this, like this is very soft. It's very soft. The pores are big, especially compared to this stock one here. And but even if you have different foam, just use a little bit less and make sure you don't push it all the way in, or not. Make sure you don't cram it and stuff it. Make sure it's nice, loose, nothing in there is compacted. Because again, that's where I noticed I started getting issues. If I would compact it, that's where channel imbalances really became obvious. And again, you do have to be pretty careful with the size you cut for each. And I noticed, you won't notice the imbalance so much in the bass and vocals. It's the upper, mid-range, and treble where that imbalance will start to peak its way out. Like, I had one that had twice this foam. I actually put this one in, and I had one of these longer pieces over here crammed in the other one. I forgot to take it out. Like, from the bass and stuff, it sounded very similar, but it was so far off balance in the treble region. It was crazy. And even this, you'll notice the imbalance if you pack one side in too much. You gotta make sure. This just, to me, seems to be the key, is you have to make sure you don't stuff it. You get it in there and you make sure you fluff it back out. Let's see. I can probably do that for you right here, even though I just took it out. Nothing special. You can just get it in there. Just get it down in there. Again, don't compact it in or anything. Make sure it's nice and loose and just covering all the sides. And it's simple as that. You change the sound of your IM. And I imagine this configuration would have made a lot of people happy. Like, it's so well balanced now. Oh, I really think all those people that complained would fall in love with this thing. For me though, I like the aggressiveness before. But anyway, anybody who has the EA500, start playing with these tips. Start shoving stuff in there. I tried cotton, like little pieces of cotton balls in there. That worked too, but it seemed to be too much of a change. Like, just a little bit would make such huge differences. It was harder to work with than just random foam from another IEM packaging. Like that, it was definitely easier to control. It was easier to balance the two sides, and I was able to more precisely adjust the range I want. Because again, even though I'm not filling this whole thing up, it was changing different frequencies with the insertion depth. So when I left it up top, again, it was kind of almost boosting the 5K region and bringing other stuff down, whereas if I pushed it all the way towards the nozzle and fluffed it up, it was like 5K and up, kind of got smoothed out a little bit. And this amount is doing, I mean, it's just a couple dB. It's just enough to take the analytical edginess off and give it a musical smoothness. Like, it's almost, I don't want, I love the EA500. I almost want to say it's perfect, but I like that edginess, so I'm not gonna go there. Just have fun with it. If you have the EA500, have fun with it. Start shoving stuff in these nozzles. You don't need to go spending whatever, waiting weeks. I mean, sure, you could if you want to be more professional, but we all got some of this foam somewhere, and it's really all you need. Just adjust how much you use. Don't compact it, and be consistent with both sides. Trial and error. You will find something that fixes the frequency you have a problem with. I gotta be honest, I'm impressed. Even though they didn't ship, I wish they would have shipped this foam and then a regular red one. So instead of this one here, I kind of wish we would have just got the regular red one and then one kind of like half full, like this one here. Like, this could have been the balanced musical one, where the other one could have been the analytical one. Anyway, that's it. That's all I want to do with this video. Show how easy and simple experimenting with tuning is. So please, anybody owns the EA500, definitely give it a shot. Chances are you might fall even more in love with the EA500. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe. Everyone have a great day.